The Black Death was one of the most devastating events in human history. Between 1347 and 1351, it swept across continents, killing tens of millions of people and reshaping entire societies. But the story doesn't begin in Europe. It begins far away in ecosystems, trade routes, and conditions that allowed something invisible to become unstoppable. The Black Death is now strongly linked to a bacterium called Yersinia pestis. It spreads primarily through fleas living on rodents. When infected fleas bite new hosts, the bacteria enters the body and can cause three forms of disease: bubonic plague, swollen lymph nodes, fever, weakness; septicemic plague, infection spreading through the bloodstream; and pneumonic plague, infection in the lungs capable of human-to-human transmission. Modern DNA analysis of plague victims confirms the presence of Yersinia, making it the best supported biological explanation. But how it became a global catastrophe is still more complex. Most evidence point to Central Asia as the likely origin region. The bacterium likely existed for centuries in wild rodent populations across the Eurasian steppe. At some point, ecological and environmental changes may have increased contact between infested animals and humans. But historians are clear on one thing: we do not know the exact trigger that caused the outbreak to escalate into a pandemic. What turned a regional disease into a global catastrophe was movement. The Silk Road connected east and west through a vast network of trade routes. Merchants, animals, and goods moved constantly between regions. Along with them came infected fleas and rodents. The disease did not spread in a single wave. It moved through overlapping outbreaks across interconnected trade networks. Once it entered cities, it spread rapidly. The Mongol Empire helped connect much of Eurasia through trade and communication. This increased contact between distant populations, but also created pathways for disease transmission. One commonly cited story is the Siege of Kaffa in 1346, where plague-infected bodies were reportedly used as weapons. Historians debate how accurate this account is, but it reflects a broader truth. War, trade, and movement all increased exposure to disease. The Black Death reached Europe around 1347, likely through Mediterranean ports such as Sicily. From there, merchant ships carried infected rats into port cities. Dense urban populations, poor sanitation, and no understanding of contagion created ideal conditions for spread. Within years, the disease had spread across most of the continent. Several factors combined to make the Black Death uniquely devastating: crowded cities, widespread rodent populations, active trade networks, weak public health systems, and no understanding of infection. None of these caused the disease alone, but together they amplified it. The death toll is uncertain but massive. Europe may have lost between 30 and 60% of its population across Europe, Asia, and North Africa. The total deaths likely reached tens of millions. Entire villages disappeared. Cities were overwhelmed. Social systems collapsed under the scale of loss. The Black Death reshaped medieval society. With so many dead, labor became scarce. That led to higher wages for survivors, weakened of feudal systems, shifts in economic power. Religious institutions struggled to explain what was happening. Some societies turned to extreme religious movements, others lost faith entirely. In some regions, minorities were blamed and persecuted. This impact was not only biological, it was social, economic, and psychological. The Black Death did not end because it was cured. It likely declined due to a combination of factors: fewer hosts, partial immunity in survivors, changes in human behavior, shifts in rodent populations and climate, but it never fully disappeared. Later outbreaks continued for centuries. The Black Death was not just a disease, it was the result of biology, environment, and human connectivity, interacting on a massive scale. A bacterium carried by fleas became one of the most powerful forces of historical change, and even today, parts of its story are still not fully understood.